Well, my mom has a saying that don't read the bottom half of the internet. Yeah, once it gets to the comment section, just stop.
Welcome to Log Off. Everyone has an internet story to tell, and today we're getting Ronda Rousey's. Ronda has collected all the fighting accolades and milestones. First U.S. woman to medal in Olympic judo, first woman signed to the UFC, and first female UFC champ, first woman in the UFC Hall of Fame. She was in the first women's match to headline WrestleMania. The list goes on. She's also a prolific writer, having authored 2 memoirs plus a biopic screenplay based on those books, which has been acquired by Netflix. And she made 2 big announcements at San Diego Comic-Con this year. Her second child is on the way, and so is her debut graphic novel, Expecting the Unexpected, which is about a deadly hit woman who wears a fake baby bump filled with guns until she becomes actually pregnant and must balance creating life with taking them. Unsurprisingly, the project has nearly tripled its Kickstarter goal. We'll get to all of that, but first, Rhonda, let's start this podcast the way we always do. At the beginning, what is your earliest internet memory?
Earliest internet memory is my mom worked at a university, so she was one of the first people to get internet and laptops and stuff like that. And I remember like the modem and and they had to bring up the app to like get the internet started. And if somebody picked up the phone, it would make like the fax machine noise. Like you had to be like, nobody pick up the phone, I'm on the internet. And if they kicked you off, you had to go through the whole process all over again. So yeah, I remember like when the internet was invented. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah, like when I picture the life of like a sports prodigy, which you were, having left home at 16 to do your judo training, I imagine it's like incredibly like a focused lifestyle. Did that leave a lot of time for internet leisure, like consuming things online?
It actually pushed me much more towards handheld gaming. I was much more into systems and stuff when I was living at home. And then once I started traveling, that's when I started really just quadrupling down on Pokemon. Because it was handheld. But before that was like into, Nintendo 64 and PlayStation 2 and stuff like that. And then once I had to leave home, it was all Pokemon, which I was already pretty into Pokemon. I was a moderator actually on GameTalk.com. I was a regular on the Pokemon Crystal forum, and I really wanted to be a moderator. So I eventually hustled enough to become a moderator of the Pokemon Stadium 2 forum. And then I felt like I won Game Talk, and I just kind of got tired of it. That's kind of like how I get with things. Once I feel like I've mastered it, I kind of get over it and move on.
Do the people that you were moderating, do they know that you went on to become the Ronda Rousey? Like, did you ever go back and check in?
They probably just affectionately remember me as Mew 182. Because I love Blink 182, and Mew is my favorite Pokemon. So,
Oh, that's great.
There you go. It was like the most early 2000s monarchy.
Do you remember when you had the urge to like start creating things and putting out content?
Oh, yeah. So, my stepdad actually was, he's like a genius rocket scientist. He's now retired. And so he showed me when I was around 10 how to make a website. So I called it on my homepage, on his homepage, and I would scan in all of these. I got these books about big cats and stuff like that. I was into cats. And I would scan in these like pictures, my favorite pictures of the different cats and stuff, and write these like basically information articles about all these different cats and stuff like that. So I had like a mostly big cat fan page, though I did have clouded leopards and pumas on it, which clouded leopards are kind of an in-betweener, and pumas are actually the biggest small cat.
I imagine those websites don't exist anymore. Do you remember when or why you like gave them up and moved on?
I probably just felt like I completed it. It's like, this is all the pictures and information I have on these cats at the end. Yeah.
It sounds like through your stepdad, you're pretty tapped into technology and trends and stuff. And you also came up during a time when like Twitter and Facebook were just beginning. How did you know to hop on those platforms so early and start building a following?
It was the only way I could get my name out there. There was no media or anyone that wanted to talk to me, as a woman in MMA. So I was like one of the first athletes to really hustle and push my own name on social media. And I got an account on every single thing available, which is why I have my name, Ronda Rousey, on every single one instead of Ronda Rousey official or something like that, because I was one of the first people on there. And I would respond to every single comment, every single request for interview, every single your mama's basement blog I would do. And so just by quantity and engagement, that's how I really got my name out there and got it so that I was constantly in the MMA press cycle and started getting bigger and bigger, people wanting to talk to me and, interviews and stuff like that. So it got to the point that by the time I met Dana White, he hadn't been able to go a day without saying my name in the news for a long time.
Wow. Do you have a favorite way to interact with fans? It sounds like pretty much any platform you're on, you try to be very authentic and active.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had somebody else do it. Mm-hmm. Like I have a required sponsorship thing. I'll have like, please, can you post this thing that it's supposed to be posted at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for me? You know what I mean? But other than that, it's always me. And yeah, Instagram's kind of my favorite. That's the one that I'm on the most. I kind of just like post on Instagram and then like, repeat it on Facebook and Twitter. Apparently I have a TikTok somewhere, but I don't manage that because I'm still afraid. That's the one where I was like, you know what? I'm getting old. I don't need to be on top anymore. Somebody else could have it. And then there was like an imposter Ronda Rousey out there for a while, but I think we yoinked it. I don't know. I don't really pay attention. I just feel like it's time for me to let it go. You can't. I don't feel the need to stay on top of all social media forever, even though I'm the most followed female athlete. I really don't feel like I need to take that title to the grave.
There's just so many platforms. Everyone kind of reaches their limit eventually. For me, it was when Snapchat came up. I was like, I'll just pass on this one.
Yeah, I was into it for a second, and then same thing. Reached the limit. It just becomes a full-time job, and luckily, it got to a point where it wasn't the only way I was getting my message and stuff out there, and there was ESPN and all those other people started to come knocking. So I got to be a little bit less proactive and just sit back and wait to be called.
Yeah, leverage their platforms. So I'm the father of two daughters, 11 and 14. Do you have any advice on navigating social media, like that whole landscape for younger girls?
Yeah, don't let them have it. My girl's not going to be able to have a smartphone until she can get a job and pay for it herself. I'm going to get her like one of those dumb phone bricks. But yeah, I mean, the only time I really have her, like, the only time she sees like an iPad is like if we're on long drives and we put movies on. But she always watches long form stuff. She'll watch an entire movie. And
that's great.
Like she doesn't go through YouTube or anything swipey like that. I just kind of want to keep her away from it. And we're going to be raising our kids in the middle of, rural Hawaii in the middle of nowhere. Because I kind of grew up in the middle of nowhere, North Dakota. And I liked that. And not having that, I don't know, you can deal with that crap when you're older. You know what I mean? When you're like in high school and puberty hits, it's all coming for you. I don't think they need to be dealing with that early.
Oh yeah. Being rural will help because my wife and I, we had the same mindset as you. And then, when they got into middle school, they become kind of isolated if they don't have a device. Like all the kids are on the bus and they're kind of texting each other and they're making plans through text.
You can text. I 3-touch text in with my little flip phone when I was 16. And then you get to the point where you don't even have to look at it, And I think it's just all of those other apps and everything like that I'm fine with texting and communication. But having like this little, serotonin, like oxytocin, whatever the hell the chemical is, like, hit device. No. You can call. I want to make it so much of a pain in the ass to text, so you just want to call people like an old person. Interact with your friends. God.
They do FaceTime a lot. They do use that to FaceTime. At least they're getting a little bit of human interaction in that way, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, we're gonna raise them. There's like, you see everybody in town anyway. Like, there's one road. You're on an island. You're gonna run into everybody at the grocery store or whatever, or walking down the street. You get all of that. Interaction. One thing I really like about the small communities, how it really does take a village, and how every time you're going down the road, you see somebody, you pull over and you have a conversation, and it's just like a real community that actually constantly interacts with each other. And so that's kind of why we have that freedom to be able to do that, which we're so lucky. But yeah, as soon as our boys graduate high school, we're going to be heading out there.
There you go. So I ran social at a big media entity for years, including during your UFC run. And we had a bit of an unwritten rule during that period, which was if Ronda or The Rock does something, we write about it, because the appetite, was just so insatiable for everything you were doing. What is it like knowing that like millions of people want to know even the most mundane things about you?
I mean, it got to a point where it because everything like gets blown up so much that I end up overthinking stuff so much, because things would blow up that I would think were so minor, or stuff that I've said before. And like, why is this a big deal? Like people keep asking me about what I think about like Vince and everybody else at WWE. I'm like, I've said this before. Okay. I said they can all go suck a dick. Like him and Laurinaitis and Bruce Prichard can all go suck a dick. Why do we keep asking this? Because it's a headline that happens over and over. And so like, yeah, the thing that like gets annoying is you say something once and it goes viral, then everybody wants to get their clip that they own of it. And so they'll just ask you the same thing over and over and over again. And then to anybody on the outside, it was like you're harping on something over and over again. And just like, dude, keep in mind that everything you hear is in response to a question. Like, I'm not going out on a soapbox, everything is a prompted response from somebody. And so that's kind of one thing that's kind of like annoying. But I also kind of just get like, I call it like post-interview anxiety of like, I'll feel like, oh yeah, that was a normal conversation. And afterward, I'll be like, oh, this could be taken this way. This could be taken that way. I could have said that better. I could have said this better, to the point where I'm just like, oh God, why do I even do it? I literally only do it now when I have to like promote something. I mean, you're lovely. I would love to chat with you any time, but to have like millions of people listening in and dissecting it and taking things out of context and stuff, it's like you have to be so calculated with how you word things for it not to be taken the wrong way. And so it becomes like a real effort and a skill to be able to like avoid negativity, and some of it is just inevitable, especially someone like me where I just have like truthful Tourette's and it just comes out. Like I can't, you know what I mean? I'm not a politician. I can't sugarcoat stuff. Like it's just the way that I was raised. And yeah, it does great for getting some headlines and stuff like that, especially when I was like fighting and promoting or wrestling, and I'm being an embellished version of myself, and a character, and I'm purposefully saying things to get a reaction and to be polarizing, because that was like part of how to get people engaged, is to get people to disagree about you. And if everybody can pin you down and everybody can agree about who you are, then the conversation's over. And so, yeah, it was a lot of it was very, very conscious of like, how can I can get people to take sides about whatever it is I'm talking about, and to not just be what people think about me, but prompt a conversation of what people think about that subject.
You seem like you kind of are pretty good about flying above it all once there's conversations online about you. Do you ever have the urge to kind of like fight back with commenters or like clarify untrue things?
Well, my mom has a saying, don't read the bottom half of the internet. Once it gets to the comment section, just stop. Yeah. And I there was a point where I would like scour that kind of stuff. And I think it was when, everybody was all like, what it became like kind of like addiction to kind of look for all of that, like that positivity. But of course, like the negativity is in there. And, it's one of those things where you don't take criticism from people you wouldn't take advice from. And I also just got to a point where I realized that's just a place where I put information out and I don't receive it back, because there's a lot of people that are just going through a lot of things in their life, and that's where they vent a lot of the negativity in their lives. And that's if that's the way that they're trying to handle their shit, there's nothing I can do about it. But it's also not up to me to absorb that from them. I can just let them shout into the ether and let it die instead of taking it and passing it on.
When you see someone like a Caitlin Clark, who's on a similar trajectory to you, where, every little thing's getting picked apart, people are taking sides, do you ever feel the need to like reach out to someone like that and offer advice? What would you tell someone who's in that position?
I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like is it like too like narcissistic of me to assume that she needs to hear from me? Like I don't want to be I don't know, overly convinced of my own importance. I'm sure she's got her own people and her own circle around her and stuff like that.
I mean, that's a healthy way to look at things, but I mean, how many people have been in her shoes and your shoes? I feel
that's true. I mean, if she ever asked, I ever ran into her, I said, "You're doing great." But yeah, I mean, one thing my mom would tell me all the time is that success is the best revenge. Just keep succeeding, and everything else will come to you. And everybody else that wants you to fail, they're going to just keep seeing you succeed, and they're just going to have to keep moving the goalpost of like, you'll never be able to do this, and then you do that. And you'll never be able to do this, and then you do that. And then you'll never be able to do this. Maybe you didn't do that, but then you did something else, And yeah, it's one of those things. Just you don't have to absorb that from people. Just put out what you're doing and move on. Just leave it.
Yeah, speaking of doing something else, I mean, I went into it a little bit in the intro, but your pivot to writer, I think most people probably wouldn't have seen that coming. What's it like going from like fighting in front of large crowds to sitting down and quietly writing and putting out stuff that so many people want to consume?
I mean, I didn't see that coming. I think it came like as a way to kind of cope with the anxiety of everything. And, well, first it started off as, I wanted to create opportunities for myself because I'd never been able to, I've always wanted to do like martial art movies, like, like Bruce Lee and Jet Li and the stuff like that, and Jackie Chan. And, I thought that, I have all the things, I could be great at this. And why isn't anyone just handing me my opportunity? And because I saw that like with Gina right away, she got to do Haywire, and I was like, okay, cool. It's just a matter of time until Steven Soderbergh comes to me with my movie, and it never happened. And I wanted to start writing as a way to create opportunities for myself, because nobody wrote Rocky for Sylvester Stallone. You know what I mean? He went out and did that himself. So it started off as that, and then it just kind of snowballed into like a new obsession of. I was just watching stuff and listening to things about, reading up on screenwriting and writing. And Jason, who's the producer of this podcast, was actually the first person to really encourage me and to like give me all the different books to read. And then I started interning at WME at the story department and writing script coverages and stuff like that. And it was just something that I did purely for the enjoyment of it and not for trying to impress anybody else. And it I have a tendency to fixate on things and to not be able to get off of it, which is why I can train for hours on end doing a single technique and not break my focus. But it's also why I can ruminate over something stupid that I tweeted years ago, and just feel depressed about it for hours and not be able to stop thinking about it. And so it became a way to consciously move my mind off of whatever it was and put all that energy in toward something creative. And no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, is that a similar skill set, that ability to focus? Because you've always excelled into like solo sports like swimming and combat. Did that help prepare you for writer's life, being able to just focus so hard?
I think that being able to focus on something that takes 100% of, my faculties is always just a way that I learned to cope with things. I lost my dad really young when I was a kid, and, we had just a lot of hard times around then, and sports was a thing where I was completely in the moment, and there was no, I think there was one thing that why I quit swimming, actually, because it allowed my mind to wander. And when I started doing judo and then MMA and even, WWE, while I was doing it, there was no 5 minutes ago or 5 minutes from now. It was just the present moment. And that would kind of became like a refuge from the rest of my life. And so like getting into that, like, I guess it's called like a flow state of when you're entirely focused on something, became somewhere where I just always wanted to be, to like take refuge from myself. And so now that I'm getting to the point where, I've had 3 athletic careers, I've had arthritis since I was 19. I can't like keep taking like these impacts and anymore. Sure. The way that I did and expect myself to be healthy and to be able to keep having kids and stuff like that. And so I was just so happy to find that same kind of, outlet and escape in something like writing, and instead of, something physical, something that I can do while I'm 5 months pregnant right now, and I can still keep working on it.
Do you think that ability to focus is a skill that can be developed or lost? I just think about the number of people right now whose brains are just completely scattered by all the distractions in the world. Do you think that people can develop that and turn into like a Ronda?
I don't know. I mean, it's something I always kind of had. My mom said that when I was a kid, she never seen a kid that was more able to amuse themselves, that I would sit down with my toys and focus on my toys and play for hours. I would sit down and draw the same picture over and over and over again for hours. But I think, you can train your attention span just like anything else. If you're like constantly scrolling nonstop, try and move to some longer form content or something like that. But it's actually not something that I ever had to train. It was kind of like a compulsion.
I see.
Where I just like focus and I can't get off. And so, which is so funny because my husband's the opposite, but he's like, you totally have ADD too. You just have a different kind where if it doesn't interest you, you have no idea what's going on. But if it interests you, you're like, hold on, I'm going to like study this water bottle for hours. Just wait, like, like the other day he mentioned like the saying, keeping up with the Joneses. And then the conversation moved on. And then I was just going down this rabbit hole of like where Keeping Up with the Joneses came from, and that it was a comic strip from the early 1900s. Before that, it was like came from like a bunch of people in Scotland that were trying to compete with building bigger mansions in the late 1800s, and they'd already moved on. And I was like, but Keeping Up with the Joneses, okay, I was staying here. if something like captures my attention, it's really hard for me to move on.
Well, tell us about Expecting the Unexpected and the Kickstarter. You've never done a Kickstarter before, right? This is your first one?
Yes. This is the kickstart to my kickstarting career.
There we go.
But apparently, I guess it's something that they they do in comics a lot. And my publishing company, AWA, which is, I think, Artists, Writers, and Artisans, which Axel Alonso, who is the former editor-in-chief of Marvel, went and opened up his own publishing company. And this is it. And that's kind of how they do a lot. For a lot of their comics is they announce a Kickstarter to kind of like promote it and get people excited about it. And it's like also a cool way to do pre-orders that just ship worldwide. And you can do like Kickstarter exclusive editions and covers and stuff like that. So it's like a really cool way to get the word out there about the comic. And so like, and we get to offer like a whole bunch of other things. Like you get to be, cause we're still making the comic. So we can offer, you can be drawn in as an assassin. You can be drawn in as like a civilian. And we're also going to be doing like in-person signings where you can like bring other stuff, too. But I mean, we're mostly going to be like trying to sling the comic. And we're also offering like private lessons for MMA lessons with me and my husband, and just a bunch of other like cool, fun things that you wouldn't be able to do if you just released a book.
Why graphic novels? Is that something that you were consuming coming up, or how did you get on that?
I mean, I was more into it as an adult. Like I read some when I was a kid, but there just wasn't like access to that. There wasn't like stores where they had a bunch of comics around where I was. It wasn't like, you know, Amazon was just being created. Oh man. And so, it was more when I got older and started having free time that I started getting really into comics. And I'd already been written expecting, and when I say written, I mean I wrote it in like one day, but I've been refining it over 5 years. And then we were watching. I was watching that like Light of Hope Kickstarter funded live action Dragon Ball Z series where it was like following Future Trunks, and we were like looking for content to do for YouTube at the time, and I was like, dude, like they have Dragon Ball Z powers, but like the way that they shot it, it didn't really remind me of the comic, of the manga. And I was like, I bet we could do that. We could do that cheap, and we could do that as a content video. We could recreate something. So I wrote like a short thing, like that was meant to be like a short, like Vegeta's mom's origin story. And by the time I finished it, it was way better than we thought it would be. And I also realized I was very wrong. And that would be very expensive to do. That we could do it and it would look cool, but it would be very expensive. I was like, dude, well, okay, now I guess we can't shoot this. And but it would make a great graphic novel, And then my mind kind of shot back to, wait, expecting would make a great graphic novel because, I'm unknown as a writer. I'm unproven as a lead. No one's going, like, especially with the risk-adverse studio environment right now, no one's going to take a risk on me. So I was like, okay, let's try and pursue it and make it into a graphic novel. So Jason, producer of this podcast, I asked him, I'm like, dude, can you like reach out to some publishing, graphic novel publishing companies and see if they'd be interested in it? Send them a script. And so he sent it to AWA, and Axel loved the script. And so, the rest is history. And then I actually did sell a screenplay, my biopic screenplay, which I never would have done if I hadn't been pursuing this first story and this worst, that's now becoming a graphic novel. And maybe it could be a movie someday, maybe not. But I actually really love the process of creating a graphic novel even more than writing a screenplay, because it's you get to have your say in every single part of the story. You're not just writing it and then handing it off and being like, I hope you do a good job. I trust you. You're the writer, and you're the casting, and you're the art director, and you do the lighting, you do the hair, you do the makeup. You're the actors, you're everything. You're the editing at the end. It's every single from panel to panel, like page by page, picture by picture. You have a say and a part in all of it. And I feel like that's something that I hope that I can keep doing and keep writing these for a very long time, because movies are just so hard to get made. It's like such a concert of like hundreds of people working in unison and everything going right to get it across the finish line. And then, you got to hope that it actually is successful enough for you to make another one. Or as I feel like, making Expecting, we can do it with a handful of people, and a handful of people that also believe in it and the idea. And I cannot express my gratitude to all of our backers more, because I'm completely unproven in this space. And like you said, we're almost tripled our goal. And I really just want this to exceed expectations, and for this not to just be like, a collectible, but something that they really enjoy. And hopefully the first of a series, because I already wrote the sequel.
So just to take stock, fulfilling creative endeavors, second baby on the way, no longer engaged in combat and taking blows to the head. Is this the happiest you've ever been?
Definitely the most satisfied. I mean, the happiness like spikes of like, You know what I mean? Like right after you like win a fight, that's like your happiness peak. But you can't sustain that. That's like winning the lottery. You know, people win the lottery and they're really happy in that moment, and then they return to their net happiness. This is the highest my net happiness has ever been, for sure.
That's great. Love to hear that. Let's get into our dumb internet questions we ask every single guest. Tab check. Rhonda, right now, how many tabs do you have open in your web browser?
This one that I'm staring at right now, 4, but in my phone.
Oh man, phone's dangerous.
Oh, for a second I thought the preschool called me. I was like, my baby. Okay. In the phone. Oh God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Okay. I'm just going to start going by twos. 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, 62, 64, 56, 58. That's on 50 or 60? 60? 70.
60.
Was I on 60? 60? This is 60. 62, 64, 66, 68, 70, 72, 74, 76, 78, 80, 82, 84, 86, 88, 90, 92, 94, 96, 98, 100. Over 100, can I just say that? Because it's still going. It's like
I was enjoying experiencing that famous Rhonda focus, but yeah, we could say 100.
Well over 100 on my phone.
Is that typical for your computer to only have 4 tabs open? That seems heroic to me, to cut it down that much.
I feel like on my computer, I really only like send emails and like write my scripts on here. So I only really do a couple things. It's like my screenwriting browser app and my email, and then like interviews and stuff. So, and Zooms. But on my phone, it'll be everything and then forget it and then open a new tab every single time.
When you open your social media apps, what are the algorithms feeding you right now?
It's a lot of Olympics, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an Olympian. I'm in the Olympics. I love it. I think it's like one of the few things where humanity's all coming together and just trying to do something positive, which is why I devoted so much of my life to it. It's because I really believe in it.
Do you have favorite accounts you follow on social media?
On social?
Yeah.
I mean, is this Reddit count?
Yeah, whatever you're on.
Okay. I can bust out my Reddit. I love following Superb Owl during the Super Bowl. It's spelled Super Bowl, and it's all a bunch of owls. I mean, there's a whole bunch of good. Well, there's one that I follow is Battle Stations that just shows everybody's different kind of battle stations. Another one is Cozy Places. I love to follow Cozy Places and like see like things that I like are so cozy. Divorced Birds. Have you seen that one?
Divorced Birds?
Yeah, so it's just like birds will come up that look like it has the story of their divorce. So stuff like this. Wait, where did it go? Oh no. Well, it's just like the birds that look divorced. And
I pulled up the subreddit. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah, here's it. Don't live, just film. When you see people filming something that's obviously dangerous and they keep filming it. Praise the cameraman. That's another great one. Explain like I'm 5. Today I learned, of course. Happy cow gifts. It's just happy cows that are happy. And I love to see just everyone on Hollow Night just complaining that Silk Song's not out yet forever. You know, the usual. I like social media that's not about myself, you know, and screenwriting. Actually, they have a lot of really good stuff on screenwriting and people doing AMAs and stuff like that. And we want plates, which is just restaurants that serve things that aren't on plates. And wasp hating. I follow wasp hating. Just a lot of hating on wasps. And what's wrong with your dog? Those are some of my favorites. Yeah.
So it sounds like you're less on the social media that just feeds you stuff algorithmically, and you're more invested in Reddit where you can, follow some specific topics.
Yeah. But I mean, I'll check out the popular page sometimes, but yeah, I like probably more on my homepage. But it's kind of, I think it just got to a point where I couldn't go on social media without saying negative shit about myself. So I just wanted to go on Reddit where it was just nothing about me. I wasn't being suggested anything about myself.
It's such an interesting dynamic that you would have to worry about going on social because there might be something about you.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I have something come up about me on Reddit. I'm like, oh, why? But, it's fine. I'll get over it. It's only every once in a while. I guess I should take it as a compliment if I'm making it on Reddit.
Is your handle publicly known? Like, have you done an AMA or are you lurking?
I'm actually going to do an AMA tomorrow for Squared Circle or something like that. Oh, but cool. I'm more of a lurker. I just like to look, to read and upvote or downvote. I lurky.
What is a corner of the internet people might be surprised you're interested in?
Oh my God, Geology Hub on YouTube. Wow. I watch the news of all the latest volcano activity in the world every day. And I got my husband into it. And so what's going on with the volcanoes? We check the daily volcano news to see what's going on. So there was a Hunga Tunga, whatever volcano exploded, and everyone was like, woo! I was keeping an eye on that for weeks. I knew that there was some unrest going on over there. I knew all about that shit. I was like, well, it used to be one island, and now it's all got blown up in the middle. So it's just, you don't know about it. You don't know about Hunga Tunga, whatever.
Do you have a prediction for the next eruption?
I mean, there's usually a whole bunch erupting at all times. That little, what's that called? That little Alaska's little tail. There's shit going on over there all the time.
What is the last thing that made you truly laugh online?
Well, this was actually on Reddit. Someone made a GIF. Every time Donald Trump went like this, they put an accordion between his hands. So he was playing an accordion every time. And I don't know. There was some reason I thought that was so fucking funny.
How do you pry yourself away from devices or log off? Do you have special tactics, or you just have that much willpower?
I have a toddler.
Oh, that'll do it. Yeah.
Literally will take my phone and chuck it. If I'm on a computer, she'll come over and mash the keyboard. I have to. If I'm going to be looking at my phone, I have to kind of do it behind her head while she's watching planes. And she has to be focused on something else. So yeah, my toddler definitely keeps me from focusing on anything for a prolonged period of time, which is why I have a hard time texting people back.
So if we want to cure society of digital addiction, we'll just assign everyone a toddler, and that should take care of it.
Yeah, I guess so. We could rent them out. Also known as babysitting, help people out.
That's true. That would help people out. Where would you be without the internet?
Where would I be? God, I don't think I would have ended up doing MMA because it had so much to do with getting people behind that. So I'd probably be a rescue swimmer for the Coast Guard, living somewhere different in the country every 4 years.
So you don't think purely based on skill, you would have gone as far as you did? It really took social media and the internet to prop yourself up?
Well, you can be as skilled as you want and nobody sees it. You know what I mean? And what is that going to do? Nobody was covering it on the news or anything like that. It would have just been, a local secret, as I was for many years before it became a thing, locally, everybody in Southern California judo knew that I was the shit, but that nobody else would have known other than that.
What is the one thing on the internet you'd save if it all went away tomorrow?
So I have Fractal Gallery. My stepdad, the genius, would make fractal generating programs for fun. And when I was a kid, when him and my mom first got married, like his way to like bond with me was not to like go outside and throw a frisbee. It was to show me how to make fractals on his fractal program. And so I have a couple galleries of fractals on fractaldomains.com that I named very tactful names, like the Fred wing, the Ethel wing, like the wing of a gallery. And so I have all of these old fractals from when I was a kid that I would try to keep those. I'd be sad if they got, because I don't have them saved anywhere. They're only on this website. So if they disappeared one day, I'd be very sad.
Oh, that's so wholesome. I love that. Thank you, Rhonda, for this discussion and for your many contributions to the internet. This is Ryan Perry saying, log off. The internet will still be there when you get back.